Gentleman Mr. Cropper here. Just a quick video on a visit I did to New York City. I bought some books, so this is a new books video. But actually the purpose of the visit was to have dinner with an objectivist who, last time I lived on this side of the country, I talked to him and he was very anti-war. And not that objectivists are pro-war, but they're not anti-war. They're not crazy zero non-aggression anarchists. And he was sort of in that camp. And I want to report to you, ladies and gentlemen, a success of objectivism. We have pulled one more individual into the camp of reason, a person who says, well, sometimes you just need to fight. You can't just keep pulling back. Sometimes you need to pay for soldiers and pay for war. So he's on course now, that in a better way than he was last time I lived on this side of the country. It was good to have dinner with him. He can out himself if he wants to, but here are the books that I bought on the visit. Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman for $2. I thought I better have that because Clinton gave it to Monica and it's Walt Whitman, so why not have that around? And I've never had a copy before, although I've had some of this and that of Walt Whitman. Aeschylus, or the Orestia, The Miracle Worker. Just want to have those on hand because I'm teaching my daughter. I don't know when I'll have my books from Utah. John Locke's Second Treatise of Government. Also want to have that on hand. I want to do videos on that. A Shropshire Lad, like that. Documents from Old Testament Times. Now I bought this because of the Assyria and Babylonian codes, and because of my interest in law and the development of law. So I should do this other book next. A Concise History of the Law of Nations. That one's going to be good. It's by Nussbaum, Nussbaum. And I've already read a bit. Let me see here. Listen to this. It is unwarranted to assume with Montesquieu that there is something in mankind like an innate idea of international law. If we can give up the idea that people have an innate nature to believe in international law and realize that that's just nowhere. A lot of people on the planet don't care about what we think of as international law, then we can grow up a little bit. 4 major plays by Henrik Ibsen. Education by Uncles by Abigail Adams Homans. And that's the niece of John Adams. Or is it Henry Adams? Henry Adams. The niece of Henry Adams, who wrote The Education of Henry Adams. Yeah, now I have a book by his niece about her experience being educated by him. The Ordeal of Civility by Murray Cudahy. This is about Freud, Marx, Levi Strauss, and the Jewish struggle with modernity. Interesting when you take a step back and look at all the trouble caused by philosophy in the last couple hundred years. They're all Jews, but I don't know if that's significant, not really. The American Supreme Court, Robert G. McCloskey. I believe I already have a copy of this in Utah, but for the sake of expanding my legal library. And lastly, The Moot Stones Speak, the Story of Archaeology in Italy. This one is fascinating because, it's one thing to know about the Colosseum, but what about a whole book, chapter after chapter, of different things they found, like a mountaintop lake with a hole draining down the middle that was drilled all the way down through the mountain out the side so it could deliver fresh spring water out the side of the mountain down yonder. Very fascinating. Alright, those are the books. Wanted to say we got an objectivist away from the zero aggression principle, and I had a good time in New York City.